Hi guys and welcome to my channel. So today I want to discuss what is the difference between binge eating and overeating. I think that many people confuse the two and they don't know the exact symptoms to say or to prove to themselves that they have indeed a binge eating problem. So let's just break it down because we all have a tendency from time to time to overeat. It's perfectly normal because food is energy, but food is also like a source of celebration or, having good times with your friends and trying new meals when you travel, so on and so forth. So it's not something that is specifically related just to eating as a source of energy, right? And from time to time, you will overeat just because something tastes good. But that's the key word, from time to time. People who overeat from time to time on a regular, they eat when they're hungry and they stop when they're full. They have very good hunger and satiety cues, right? They know when the hunger is coming by physical symptoms because their stomach is growling and they feel a bit nauseous and their like maybe hands are a little bit shaky or they feel dizzy. These are physical symptoms. So those people who overeat from time to time, they have very strong hunger cues and then satiety cues, meaning they know when they have had enough food, right? So unlike that, binge eaters don't. Binge eaters just don't think about their hunger and satiety cues. They eat when they're emotionally threatened. They don't care what's in front of them. All they need is food to numb them, to distract them, to make them not think, and to soothe them. It's like a comforting, scarf or pillow or something that always needs to be close to you because whatever happens in your life that you cannot handle, food is there to help you. So that's something that binge eaters do. They use food for a lot of emotional reasons. And they eat in quantities which are way bigger than a simple overeating. They binge in one sitting calories worth of, 1.5, 2 days, which is not overeating. They're also not paying attention to what they're eating. They're not enjoying the food that they're eating because the food is not enjoyment. The food has a different purpose, which is numbing, distracting, or making you get this high from food so you don't have to think about your problems. So there is no enjoyment and pleasure like in overeating. Here it's just like, let me forget, let me eat so I don't have to think. So I can just numb myself, go on a food coma and go to sleep. And that happens, unlike overeating, binge eating happens 2 to 3 times a week, if not more, and it becomes a perpetual thing that people do. They come to food every time that they cannot deal with difficult emotions. Overeating once in a while. So, first of all, overeating happens with physical hunger, binge eating doesn't. Overeating happens once in a while, binge eating is more regular. Overeaters are actually present and they're really enjoying the food and they're like, I cannot stop because this tastes so good. Binge eaters don't even know what they're eating because they plan some foods as a way to distract. So it's like they're in a trance, just like eating mindlessly and stuffing themselves to fill the void, but they're not really thinking about the pleasure. They're not thinking about what that certain food can do for them. And I would say another big thing is like once the meal is over, the overeating or the binge eating, this is where the big difference is, you guys. Overeaters, they will be like, oh, I had too much food, but it was so damn good. Like they are enjoying it, right? They're like, fine with it. They don't have this need to assess how much I've eaten, how many calories, do I need to burn it off? What will do this to my weight gain or my, expanding my waist? They don't think about it. They just think about the foods that they have eaten that provided them pleasure. And they can go back with no problem tomorrow to their regular eating. Okay? But binge eaters, they don't have that. Binge eaters, they feel shame and guilt, mainly those two things after they have eaten, because they see all these wraps around them. They're like, what have I done? Why have I eaten so much? What is going on? So they have a very different emotional connection to food to begin with, but also once they see what they have done, there is a guilt attached to it. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's wrong with me? Why I cannot stop? I feel so ashamed. No one should see this, which is why they mostly binge in secrecy. So the aftermath is different between overeating and binge eating as well. On top of that, binge eaters have also a tendency to do it in secrecy, as I just said. Overeating doesn't really matter. I mean, you can overeat in secrecy, but a lot of overeating happens on those special occasions where you just want to enjoy a little bit more, some tasty foods or whatever, because you're celebrating something or because you're trying out a new restaurant and so on and so forth. So there is no shame attached to the foods you're eating, and there is no shame attached to the amounts you're eating. Binge eaters, they don't want you to see them. They are binging in secrecy. They are binging when they're alone, when everyone is asleep, going to the fridge, to the pantry multiple times a day, and overall feeling quite unease around food. Another difference is that overeating, people who overeat from time to time, they don't lose control around food. Binge eaters do. Binge eaters cannot have their trigger foods at home, because if they see like cookies, for example, they are just thinking automatically, I cannot control myself. I need to eat lots of it. So I either don't have it or I'm going to eat the whole box. People who overeat from time to time, they don't have this problem, right? Like, they are not attached emotionally to food in such way. So I hope this helps you to understand the difference between overeating, which is something that happens from time to time, and where guilt and shame are not attached to it, and where the experience of eating is different from binge eating. If you want to know more about emotional eating and binge eating and how to end emotional and binge eating without restrictions or dieting, hit the subscribe button, because I have much more videos coming up.